All right, all right. A good day to all. Sam here with you on Friday, November 23rd, Black Friday. And we are going to do a little update on Bitcoin here with a few things that are kind of interesting that we can work through here. Before doing that, so as it is Black Friday, I thought I would mention, my marketing guys would kill me if I didn't mention this, but I think some of y'all may appreciate this as well. So we're doing our own little Black Friday deal for you. So I'm over here on our website. And this link will be underneath this video. If you've been considering becoming a member, a subscriber over at our members Discord and all of the training and the belt system, everything that we offer to you, well, this is not a bad looking deal that we've put together here. So these are 30, 40, and 50% discounts. 30% on the 3-month, 40% on the 6-month, and 50% on a yearly membership. And we've had quite a few people take advantage of that already. So just make note of it here. Again, the link will be underneath. I won't mention it again, but just if you're interested, that's not a bad way to come in and get maximum value for that investment dollar. Okay, with that said, let's come back over here to Bitcoin. Now, there's a few things here. So we've been through all the algo polls a number of times. So a couple of things. Again, I'm always trying to simplify if I can. Now, there's going to be some when we ultimately resolve, when we get a low, it's going to be interesting how we come back and ultimately end up getting this count identified. Right now, I'm working on the assumption that we're working from this pivot here, which I have identified with this little arrow here, that we are finishing, we're in the process of finishing an A, a B, and we are in the C wave down here. Now this could end up being DE. There's a number of ways that this triangle potentially could end up being counted. And then there's some extremely bearish counts that are certainly here that are worth looking at. I just don't think. So, for example, if we thought we were going to break below some of this prior support down here, we're talking about Bitcoin. If you start doing the fib swing analysis, we're talking about Bitcoin under $1,000. I just don't think that's likely. Now, of course, it's possible, but I think it's less likely. I think we are in the process of finishing down here, and if we're going to continue to stay in this 4K level and ultimately break it, I think we have really solid support for a number of reasons down here at 3,200, which has been the long-term, well, that's been the algo target. The long-term target, I think, has shown this dozens of times. I can get that right on there. So here's our pull to the 50, and here's our 3,200 that's been there since we hit this in February. So it's been there for a long, long time. All right, software sells that. No temptation to get out early. It'll just stay short until it gets there. So recognizing that, we can start again, and I've done this a couple of times, but for anyone who's new or maybe just kind of getting more comfortable with how we build a confluence zone, I think we've got. So this is the dominant, right? So this is our dominant target through the entire correction. It's been there, since February, but we've got some interesting things developing now. Here you can see here we've just tagged this median line, which has been, fair. Look what we did here. So from this corner here, so we tag it once to the tick. Now we just tagged it again to the tick. So this certainly seems to be framing the market. Now this is a modified shift, so it's exactly the same. I'm just I've shown this many times. It's exactly the same as putting a channel on it. All right, so if you prefer the channel format, I like that red line target for median lines, but the modified shift is essentially a channel. So let me see if I can get that off there. Okay, so here's our tag of the median line. Now, it does not look like it's reasonable to assume that we've bottomed here. Now, despite the fact that we've tagged the median line, I think we're getting a reaction there. You can note here as well by this 100. So here I'm just taking let me draw this for you. So I'm taking, let's do it this way. I'll just do it again. So we're just taking the length from this pivot here that we're trying to focus on and saying, well, if that is an A, and this is the B, well, let's explore the idea that we might hit parity. So you'll note here that we're coming in. So here's 100% as we've just tagged the median line. So it's not to the tick. Yeah, I understand. We're not to the tick, but we're certainly very close. And that's an area to pay attention to. So this is very common for us to see that kind of parity between an A, B, and a C. But if we dig into the subdivision, I just don't think that it's finished yet here. I think this 3200 is now becoming quite the magnet. So I think if we do get a reaction here and we come perhaps make a 38 or we get up to the other parallel here, to the upper parallel, that this looks like a likely ending zone here. Right? So it would be interesting if that ultimately completes after sitting there all year. And people just thinking to themselves, myself included, oh, well, there's no way it's going down there. No way. Yet here we sit, if we're at 4,200, long-term targets 3,200, certainly reasonable to think we might be heading there. So we can kind of start stacking a few things here. So just again, and I've shown this many times. So if we look here, this was our technical pivot. So grabbing to this low here, perfect golden zone. Now we note here we do get this very nice confluence zone here as we get this confluence of the 1272 of the A projected from the B. We've got the first, the dominant algo target, and then we've got the secondary swing here. So this golden zone right here where I have this identified, and this is what we're trying to finish. From this perfect golden zone tag, well, we got the little reaction here at the first target. So you see here, you can always tell by where they start. So this green is based off of this golden zone. We got a little pause there, but we're able to get through it. Now note here where that second target is, if I squiggle that, so if I put that right on top there, it's literally right on top of these two targets here as we come back to approaching the median line. Thus, it's fairly easy for me to go, well, looks like, give me here, that's what I want. It looks like this seems like a reasonable place for us to go. I think I just bumped this a little bit. That back on there. Okay, so as we, let me clear this up a little bit. So we've got, a reasonable confluence down here. So in the interest of kind of just cleaning this up, now that we have all of this identified here, so this, take this one off too. Now let's break into, what did I bump? Here it is. I bumped those. I had them locked, and then I bumped them. So let me just tighten that back up again, which is important that you do. Take the time to get these spot on. Yep, that looks good. Okay, let's get back down here. Okay, so here, as we're bumping into this median line, so let's go down from I'm sitting here on a 12-hour. Let's go to a 3-hour, see how we look here. How can we finish this? Well, right now, it's certainly, we're getting a little reaction here, but it's hard to even call this potential third done here. This is, I mean, that would be a shallow retracement here, but given that it is a retracement and then we've fallen over here, this may not be done. So all we can do is just as we would with any wave 3 that we're trying to identify, the first assumption is that this expanded flat thinking, which what I think we have. I think we have coming down here, pardon me, I'm going to do it this way. We have from here up to A, B, and C to give us that expanded flat. That's what I think we're dealing with there. There's the 2. So let me just lower this down here. Let's get it blue. Bear with me one sec. Let's get this so it makes sense. Okay, so if this is A, B, C into our 2, we're projecting down here for a 3. So, I mean, an extreme for a third is the 2618. We're sitting here approximately 200-ish. This could keep going. It certainly could. Well, it certainly doesn't look like we've had any sort of a reaction here that would suggest we're going to come out of this impulsively. So as you look at it here, it's tempting to want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that the 5? Right? We don't have the new low yet. So you're kind of looking, thinking, 1, 3 extension in the 5th could be. Right? It's not bad here. So we look if that 3 is correctly identified. Well, here's the 38, and we've gone through second target. So it's not the prettiest looking wave projection that I've ever seen, but it's a contender. Now the alternate would be that we're not done yet. That the 3 is actually in down here that we're trying to put in. This might be the A, B of a 4 going in. So this is why you have to keep these things in the proper degree, or it's very easy to lose track of where you are. So if that's let's go put that in green. All right, so if that's the 1, 2, and we're still trying to get our third low completed down here. So since we've got some of this established here, so potentially this is part of just the subdivision of the 3 that is not finished yet. We certainly have that possibility. If this is the 3 low down here, which would be putting this 3 low in here, and we're going to do an ABC, well, we got to start on that. So AB, maybe we go into the C, and then we're going to push down and finish something like that. That would put us even further down here. Now we're getting closer to our long-term target. We actually, on the anticipation that if we're going lower, this 3,200 level is going to hold. We don't want this third to get too much lower. Actually, we want to see this start to bottom, and that retracement, if we can get the 38, even better here, because then we can start projecting down here, looking for some possible targets based on traditional Elliott swing relationships. So if we get a 4 here at the 38, just for the sake of discussion, then we start looking for our 5 down here. Again, 2,618 for the 5. These are real extremes. Right? Even, you know, of course, we could double bottom down here at a more common target here at the 1,618. But if it's going to have legs, that certainly could get lower. So let's pull this one off. So it becomes a question of we're kind of in a wait and see to look to what kind of shape do we get here. If we're going to go down, are we just going to break this? If we're coming down here to test this low, which has been tested once now already. Now, given the, we're going into the weekend, the holiday, this, if we start to come out of this, we get some strength out of this, then we might consider the possibility that the third is in down here. But, still, it's unresolved. It's not finished, right? I mean, the best case scenario is that the 3, the 4, and the 5 are in, and that this is done. This is the third, and that we're going after the 4 now. That looks much better. So it will be important that this low hold here, and then we get more traction. So here I'm on a 3 hour. Let's go to the 1 hour. See if we can get any better of a look into this. Well, it certainly looks like whatever this was, this is an ABC trying to correct that, but note the potential that this could turn very easily into some sort of a, do we get a diagonal there? Let's look here. Yes, we would have a diagonal. So we have the potential here for this to be an ABC. That could be the 3, 4, and we're going down to finish here. Let's change that color again. I know it's a pain in the ass, but it's worth doing. Let's go. We'll go back over to white. Okay, so if this finishes down here, that would put the third here of, pardon me, the 5th of the third. So we have this potential to be finishing here with this little diagonal structure here, looking for this for a low down here. Let's call it. It's kind of would put us back here at this $4,000 testing this low. We could break it. We could certainly break it. So if that's going to finish here, so this 4 here will be kind of important to us. So if we look here, if that's so, look, of course, right to the 50. That's right where you're looking for the 4. So if this is 1, 1, 2, remember in a diagonal, once we overlap here, in a diagonal, we're looking for the 50 and the relationship between the start of the 1, the pivot of the 3. Here comes the 4, right where you're looking for it. You can see the prior resistance. You can see it. Right? It's all sitting in there. You've got these prior wicks here, and that's right what we run into. Suggests that there's likely one more push down, at the very least, to get to that algo target from the software that sold it at that 50. Does it get there? Well, it doesn't have to get there, but that looks like a reasonable target down here. So let's pull this back out and see, okay, well, does that make sense? Would that fit with the way we're looking at it and trying to count it down here? Well, this would be a better case. So essentially, we'd be very close to a double bottom. We do not want to see this continue rolling. We want this third to complete to set up that possibility for the 4, 5, and then ultimately to be finishing down here in this range from 3,200 to 3,000. Really, I see 3,200 as our long-term target here. So that means we got to come out of this with a nice big ABC, and then we're going down to finish that. That's what I think is most likely given where we are here. Let's put this back together, and let's see if I can zoom out and see how is this a roadmap that can work based on where we are? Does it fit with everything we've got so far? Well, I guess we can take that off. So if this is going to finish, if we're going to finish down here, right, so look where that puts that target, smack dab splitting our target, our hot box down here. So if we're approaching the 3 low down here, we can take some of this off. If we're approaching the 3 low here, 4 and 5 are yet to come. This is not a bad scenario, except take note, well, I guess it's all relative. that's just finishing the larger 3, right? So we still have all of this yet to come, which is why this was sitting over here. So if we finish down here, so you've got to put it in the context of the bigger picture. Okay, so does this work? If we go 1, 2, and this becomes 3, right? So potentially now what this is teeing up is that the 3, if the count is correctly labeled, that the bottom of the 5 of the third here is at 3,200. Right, so then if that's going to hold, we're anticipating an ABC for the 4, and then where do we go from there? Right, so let me get that off here. So if this were coming down here, so let's just think about it. Let's say we get 3,200. We grab that algo target and we get a reaction. Well, we got to pull relative to this 2. So if this finishes down here, let's put this whole thing together. So if this finishes as 3, 4, and 5 down here, we get the 4, 5, and we come out of here to the big 4 to the 38. Right, so then same thing. We can look here and say, well, that would be the 38. Then where's our putting our target? That's 2,200. Now, where's the median line? Could we get a double bottom? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we could. But 2,200. Well, that would create some capitulation. I have no doubt about that. So we look here and say, well, does that make sense? Is there any support? Is there any reason why we might go down there? If that's down here, well, there's nothing really jumping out at you. I mean, even if you pull over here and you pulled some of these prior support zones, not a lot. That's 1,300. So you're kind of left, hanging a little bit. Like, what's there? Again, so a lot of times it's we'll have some time over the weekend. It's a hunt to see, well, if it were going there, why would it be going there? And if we got a pivot there other than the algo target, what else is there? Are there some other swing relationships that we might anticipate there? I don't even think the longest. Well, here's our 3,200. That long-term target, that's under a 0. So second target is at 591, so it would be 600. So if we're going here, so you see what I'm pulling from. So here's the pivot that seems to be influencing the algo. So here's the first one. If we go to the second one here, and we were to get that lower target, we're talking about Bitcoin. Well, you can't go there. Pardon me. It's first target, right? Where you get this low, you got to wick off 0. So here's the second algo target on this pull. The second target here puts us below 0. So we're getting down to some levels here that are, kind of interesting, right? So, are we going there? I don't think we're going there. I really don't. No, I don't care what the chart says. I do not think we are going sub 1,000. But I'm surprised to see that where we are. Now this 3,200, the back of my mind, that's been there all year. So longest term target I've had in the back of my mind in terms of where we might be going, 3,200. Below that, things are going to get ugly. I'm not prepared to make that forecast. I don't. The forecast I am prepared to make is that I don't think we're breaking 3,200. Right, so. Timestamp it, post it on Twitter. Feel free to, if we go below that, right? So you can send me the "I told you so" if you're a bear. But I just don't think it's likely here. So if we finish down here, which is, again, we're projecting here based off of pivots we don't have yet. So I try and put these together and say, is there a roadmap that would make sense if we're going to 3,200? How are we going to get there based on what we can see already? So if I bring this all the way back to our 3-hour here and think about where we are, well, so to a large degree, this is all a function of where is this third? Where is this third going to pivot? Are we just going to continue to creep down? Then that might change some of my forecasts here. But if we're approaching this third for all those reasons that we just looked at here, and in addition to the fact that we're sitting at this median line, which I've now got slightly askew. There it is. Right, so now we've got it here. So we're right on the corner. So there you see it's just tagging the median line. If we're going to get a reaction here, hopefully that sets up the 4 and the 5 because we don't want this 3 to be way down here. Right, we want this to hold here if we get this 3,200, and then it becomes a matter of, well, where's the median line? How deep is the 4? So it's ugly. There's no question about it. So you have a couple of choices. Well, of course, one thing that we, within all of our members here, there's no money to be made in crypto. Well, why bang your head against the wall in crypto? There's so many other assets to trade. So I always tell people that if you want to try something other than crypto, and so many of our members came to us because of an interest in crypto. Once you develop the technical skills here, the underlying asset really shouldn't matter to you. What do you care? Right? You want liquidity, you want volatility, you want technical trading. What do you care if it's crypto or something else? I promise you, I don't care. I trade. In fact, as you all know, I don't short crypto just because it's a pain in the ass. Not because I can't do the analysis to see that there's money to be made there. I trade every asset. So if it's more difficult to go short, I go screw it. I'll go to Forex where it's click click I'm short, click click I'm buy. It's just my own personal preference, right? You don't have to do what I do. It's just I guess my broader point is for long-term hodlers. Yeah, nothing wrong with a little diversification. There's plenty of opportunity applying this exactly the same. I'd apply this the exact same way regardless of what hopefully y'all get that. The underlying asset, I could care less. Chart's a chart. They all trade the same way. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. And we, as you might suspect, a lot of our members now have switched over. In fact, many are seeing success that's shocking them, applying this methodology into Forex, where it's incredibly technical and almost all algo driven. So there's lots of opportunity there. In fact, we're going to do some training videos. Hopefully I get them done over the weekend to show you how you can get into Forex, how to set it up. You can trade right from TradingView. You can do it. You don't need a $20,000 account, right? You can do it with $1,000, $2,500. In fact, I think we're going to do a test case. We're going to do a $2,500 account just to demonstrate to you that there's plenty of opportunity. You don't need a massive account to get into trade Forex. In fact, you can trade micros and minis. It's a lot more opportunity there. You know, when you're faced with a relentless bear, it's just something to consider. Right? I've gone on not long enough there. Okay, so you'll get plenty of that if you come in, either try the trial or take advantage of Black Friday. You'll see, once you see it, you'll, I think, hopefully understand it a little bit better. All right, so with all of that said, I'll just remind you that Black Friday, all those discounts, all that stuff, you can catch it on our Twitter feed over underneath this video. That link will be there. And with that, I will wish you guys a good weekend. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving with friends and family. We sure appreciate your support. Hope you get something out of these videos, and we'll see you next week.